All right, now it's recording.
Go ahead, try. All right, first of all, guys, good job so far. You guys are first-year officials. So considering we've gotten through a whole season, pretty minimal problems. I'm really proud of the way you guys have grown, your confidence and your knowledge. And I think you guys work pretty hard. I think you guys show up on time. I think you guys care. And you're honestly fun to coach and teach and work with. So thank you for a great job so far this semester. All right, so we're going to cover some improvements as like the first kind of section of things that we have already been taught, things we already know, but things that we need to get better at still through games as the playoffs start. So we're going to cover each of these more in depth, but correct foul choice and signal. That means if we call a foul, even if it is a foul, we need to make sure we have the right name on it, and we need to make sure we have the right signal on it. Whistle zones and vision zones / keys. When is it my job to blow the whistle? When is it somebody else's job to blow the whistle? And where am I supposed to be watching? Okay, and that we'll cover the different positions. And then crew communication, I think, has been honestly pretty poor. That's not something we harped on a lot in training, but it's something we're going to harp a lot on now, because the crew being tied together for playoffs is going to be very important, and it's going to help us get a lot more calls right. Awareness in the game, and then 2-minute mechanics. So we'll go over correct foul choice and signal. It's important that we get the proper foul and give the proper signal, because it makes us look like we know what we're doing. Even if we got the right yardage and technically everything was enforced as it was supposed to be enforced, if we call something the wrong name, it makes us look like we don't know what we're doing. Even if we do. Even if we saw the right thing. So let's make sure, and if we don't know what the foul is, let's go talk to the R, have a conversation about what happened, and make sure the R gives a proper signal. Make sure the R gives a proper signal and a proper foul call, that the players can understand why we call what we call. And then I think this will be the Kahoot link.
So if you guys want to pull out your phones, you can log on to Kahoot. We're going to do the case plays from the PowerPoint, and then we're going to switch over to the Kahoot for the answers to see how many of you guys will get them right.
Did you get my joke, JC?
Hmm?
Did you get my joke when you was talking about correctly?
It's recording the whole time, correct? Don't look at me.
No naughty nicknames.
I'm naughty. Creativity.
Luke and Tim, you guys playing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job, guys.
Are you in? Okay, good. Is anybody not in that wants to be in? Final call. I don't even know what that says.
There's no not so Gucci. That's not me.
It's not?
No.
Wow, that was creative. Whoever else did that. Tim?
Tim.
All right, let's get started. This is going to be on foul signal and foul choice. The defense penetrates the neutral zone before the ball is snapped. What's our call here? Okay. It's not a false start because it's on the defense. And we don't have offsides.
Oops.
Yo,
My bad.
not so Gucci. We don't have offsides, okay? In high school, we operate by the same rules as high school football does. Offsides is only in college and the NFL. So a lot of players, this is a common thing that I get players complaining to me about. They see Aaron Rodgers exploit, in the NFL, if you get an offside, so the defense jumps, the play doesn't stop, it's a live ball foul. So it's essentially the offense gets what's called a free play, where they can do whatever they want, and then if the play doesn't work out well, they can accept the penalty and then just go forward anyway. We don't have that. And encroachment kills the clock. or kills the play. So the play shouldn't even start, okay? So I would have quarterbacks saying, we get a free play, we get a free play. No, they don't. We don't have offsides, we have encroachment, and they're not the same thing. Because encroachment kills the play, offsides doesn't. We will never call this, it's not a foul in flag football, okay? And then false start can only be on the offense. So let's make sure we don't call false start on the defense because that'll question our credibility. Yeah, Nate?
So even if they're lined up in the neutral zone, that's encroachment?
Yep.
Okay.
A3 catches a pass, then turns to run and collides with B1, who was set, ready to pull flag, ready to pull flags. Good. The key word here is who was set already, okay? It's easier to see it when you see it, but when we have a collision, it's happened a lot and we haven't had a flag on it. That's going to become more problematic as the playoffs move on. I'm talking about the play where the receiver catches the ball, turns to run, and then both of the defender and the offender run into each other and fall on the ground. Be ready for this play because if we don't have a flag on it, the contact is going to escalate and escalate and escalate, and all of a sudden we got problems. And at the end of the game, the player's really mad, and we don't know really what to call because we haven't been calling anything all game. Okay? What to watch here first is who was set, who had the spot. If the defender is like ready to pull the play, ready to pull the flags, God, and gets hit, then he's in proper legal position. That spot's his. That's going to be on the offense. Even if the offense doesn't see him, that's still the offense's fault for running into the defense. Okay? The offense doesn't need to make it intentional. They just need to initiate contact. Yeah, Tim.
I'm going to say, whoever you call that penalty on, guy was the ball, he's going to get really upset and scream and yell that he didn't see him, so it's not a foul. So just be ready for that.
Yeah, that's not a thing. Like, you can foul somebody without seeing them.
Like we talked about, like, how do you explain it to them? It's like basketball, and we're taking blocks and charges. If that helps, that's exactly what it is, and it's still true.
A lot of them will come up, especially the grad school kids, will come up with kind of compelling reasons why they think it's not a foul. That doesn't mean it's not a foul. You guys know the rules, okay? Most of them don't, but some of them do that have played for a while. So even if they make a compelling case of why it shouldn't be a foul, if you think it's a foul, you need to be able to explain to them that, hey, they were set, they were in the position, and you ran into them. What's up, Ryan? All right, next one. A3 throws the ball backwards to A4, who throws the ball forward to A6. A3, the first thrower, was hit after his throw. What do we have here? I knew this was going to be a tricky one. Okay. If the ball is thrown backwards, what is it technically called? A pitch. A pass is only a pass if the ball is thrown forward. So we cannot have roughing the passer if A3 is not a passer, he's a pitcher. Okay? So on a backwards pass, even though he's throwing like a normal quarterback would, and it looks like it's roughing the passer, the ball goes backwards, he's not the passer, so we can't have roughing the passer. We'll still have a foul because he got hit, but that's going to be illegal contact, not roughing the passer. Everyone see the distinction there? Any questions? What's going to make this a lot easier to call correctly? Call back. Bingo. Second thing? Not ball watching. Watching the quarterback. Watching the whole play happen. Okay? During his route, A4 was fouled by B3. A1 fails to complete a pass to A5. So A1 is the quarterback, and the pass is incomplete to B5. But A4 was fouled by B3 on his route. Good. Why is this not pass interference?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with whether he caught the ball.
Wasn't thrown towards him.
The ball wasn't to him. So we can't interfere with the pass if the pass was not around. Okay? What if that he was fouled and the ball came to him, but he was fouled before the ball was in the air? Before the ball was in the air. Legal contact. We can only have a pass interference if the pass is to the guy who was fouled and the ball is in the air. Okay? This is another thing of getting the right foul called. If we call pass interference and the play wasn't even to the guy who was fouled, they're going to be mad because the ball was nowhere near him. It's still a foul. You guys know to call a foul. We just need to make sure we get the right verbiage on it. Okay? I'm on a hot streak. A4 runs in motion laterally across the field, then continues his motion towards the line of scrimmage at the snap.
I did that like 3 times, Tim.
So easy.
I closed my phone. I Kahoot rage quit.
Good, okay, we got a little bit of a scatter here. So, I'm going to explain why this is a foul first. The play I'm describing is my offense is going this way, and I'm in motion. This is legal. It's all legal until I start heading towards the line of scrimmage. The moment I start heading forward, I need to be set for a second before the ball is spent. If I'm heading forward at the time of the snap, that is illegal motion. Okay? So it's definitely a foul. Now, why is it not a false start? A false start, what we're looking for is something that simulates the snap. A flinch, somebody leaving early, something like that. Okay, that's simulating the snap. He's in motion, so he's not simulating the snap. So we're definitely going to have something to do with the motion. It's motion, but it's an illegal motion. Can somebody tell me what a legal shift is?
Between 2 or more people are moving at the time of snap.
Yes. So we either have 2 people in motion at the same time. So if I'm moving laterally and the ball snapped now, are we okay?
Yeah.
What if JC and I are crossing and the ball snapped now? Are we okay? We're moving laterally.
No, that'd be a little shit.
We only have 1 person in motion at the time of the snap. So if Trek and I both are in motion and we crossed, what do we have to do for it to be a legal snap?
It's
One of them
One
has
of
to
us
get
has
set.
to be set for a second. Either one or both, but they have to be set for a second. So I call legal shift a lot, especially when the teams start to speed up the game, because they'll hustle up to the snap and then they'll snap it. They'll hustle up to the line of scrimmage and then snap it, but they're not set for a second. So we have a high flag there. The play continues. It's not a dead play. We don't kill the play. The play continues, and then we'll take the result of the play and then enforce the penalty depending on how the team is accepted or not. Okay, any questions? That makes sense? Nate?
Legal motion, you kill the play though, right?
No.
So both you don't.
Live ball, play continues. This and encroachment will kill the play. Okay?
Whose specific area is that?
That'll be the line judge's call because he's looking right down the line. The R can also help with illegal shift if they aren't set yet. That can probably be both or either of their call. The referee will not call illegal motion because he doesn't have a good angle to see if he's moving forward or not. The line is looking right perfect in the perfect spot to see that. Okay? Was that the 5th one?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so just leave it for now. Okay. This is a big one. I've seen a lot of ball watching this year, which is completely natural, perfectly understandable, but we need to really get better at that. Because we have 4 people on the field for a reason, so that we can all see different areas that benefit the entire crew seeing the whole field. Should never have 8 eyes on the same ball, on the ball, okay? So let's look at where our eyes should be. So if we have a nice pretty field here, Trek and I made this.
You're allowed to clap.
Good job, you guys. So X's is offense, O's is defense. We're in the right position, right? Back judge is deeper than the deepest person, angled off to the line judge's side. R is roughly 7 and 7 from the quarterback, or the deepest player, angled towards the field judge's side. Our field judge is about 10 to 12 yards from the line of scrimmage opposite the L. All the positioning looks correct there, right? All right, why don't you give me one click?
Your back judge is about 37 yards deep.
Well, this guy's deep.
Don't need to be that deep.
Yeah, you're right. JC is the back judge. Back judge can maybe be closer to like here, okay? Unless it's one of those teams that can just absolutely throw the ball downfield, then maybe, and you're slow, then maybe you need to get a little bit outside. So R is basically going to have anything behind the line of scrimmage. Okay, that's what the R is watching. The L is watching the line of scrimmage, maybe 5 to 6 yards into the backfield, well, not the backfield, the forefield, and then anything on his line. Okay? So if the pass comes, there's a play, these receivers come down the sideline. The L is watching the sideline, making sure that this guy's feet are in bounds, and the back judge is making sure he caught it. Okay? And if a play breaks free, and the L is going to be able to determine where he stepped out of bounds, if he runs out of bounds or something like that, okay? Because the L has the best angle to the sideline. F is going to take this small chunk of the line of scrimmage because he can see what happens on the sideline better than the L can. Does that make sense? And he's also going to take pretty much the middle of the field. So almost every flag football plays a passing play. You're going to see routes that carry you in here every play. The L is pretty much concerned with the shallow routes close to the line of scrimmage and then picking up the ball if it's run across the line. The field should not be watching the ball. Definitely shouldn't be watching the ball back here. The field should be watching the routes that are on his side of the field and making sure we don't have pass interference, illegal contact, or some sort of pick play. Okay? This is going to help your officiating immensely, and I guarantee you we haven't executed this very well because it's hard. You will notice when you aren't watching the ball, but you're watching receivers run routes, because it's a way different field. We're making sure there's no fouls here, okay? And if you call a foul early on contact, I guarantee you the game is going to be so much easier to work with because they're not going to be pushing each other. The fouls you call early solve problems for fouls later when the game gets more intense, okay? And the back judge, deepest responsibility of the goal line, and then this half of the field, opposite the field, disregarding the sideline. So if we talk about keys, what's a key? Tracy?
An area I'm watching before the snap.
Right. Something that your eyes are going to snap to watch before the snap to help your eyes be in the right place. So what's the key for the R? Quarterback. Bingo. What's the cue for the L?
Line.
Lineman, preferably the closest lineman. What's the key for the field judge?
Close defender?
Close.
For this receiver.
Pretty much we're watching this matchup because this guy's guarding this guy. So either of them can commit a foul. So we're just making sure that that's a safe matchup. And if this guy's guarding this guy, then kind of keeping an eye on both of them. But the outermost guy is his key. What about the back judge?
The background.
Safety?
We're looking more for a matchup again. Because the safety isn't going to commit any fouls until a receiver comes to him, right?
Bottom side.
Yeah, bottom side. So this is kind of hard too. So I think before we looked at this, we used to think of the back judge as having all of this. Well, he is skewed to the line judge's side because the field is on the other side. The field is in a perfect position to take this deep part of the middle field. And the back judge needs to be closer to the L to take this because the line judge can't see back here. The line judge is preoccupied with the line of scrimmage. That's the line. That's the title of his position. Do we understand why the back judge is going to have this area? And then the key is obviously going to be down here. Even though it's in front of the L, these guys are going to leave, and the line judge is still going to stay and watch that shallow area. Okay, yeah.
Now in 5-man, what changes in the backfield?
5-man, nothing changes. The keys are still the same. So maybe we don't have this. Maybe these guys are off. Okay. He's still going to take the outermost matchup.
No, 5-man.
Yeah.
Oh, 5-man our center judge.
Yeah.
Center's going to be here. We won't run that a lot in the playoffs, but we do run it if we don't have a game, which is a good question. Center judge is going to be right about here. Keys are going to be the line, helping with the line judge, and then the quarterback if he comes to his side. Okay? All right, so this is all pre-snap. Yes?
What about three-man crew? Because I did that the other day and
Okay.
kind of.
It's tricky. So, oh shoot, I don't even know.
Hopefully you guys won't have to run 3-man in the playoffs, especially deeper, like the bigger games. There will be one game at a time, so we'll be able to 4-man those or for sure.
So for 3-man, the biggest difference is going to be, so our line usually are going to probably stay about the same in terms of positioning, but the back judge has to play like the field judge. So he'll go or she will go on that side and cheat towards the R. So you'll have like a triangle going with the R, the line in the back. For the keys, the back judge will get the field judge's side. So you're looking more on that side, and the line judge has more responsibility on their side. The key for 3-man, or like the big thing, the difference, the back judge has that far sideline. So they don't need to start on the sideline like a field, but if the play is coming to their side, they need to get to that sideline so they know if they're out of bounds or not.
Any questions on 3-man? Cool.
I hope you don't have to run 3-man. If you do, we'll talk to you before it happens. All right, when is it my call? By call, I primarily mean whistle. We usually only want to have one whistle on a play. There's a lot of times when we have 3 whistles and 3 people signaling touchdown, which I know that means all of you guys are watching the ball. But we'll go over whistle zones here. So a typical play. You can come through.
Alright. Yeah, so here we got our typical play setup again. So where do you think the R's whistle zone is going to be?
Anything behind the line.
Yeah, so R has anything, so sack, anything like that is going to be behind the line of scrimmage. Same with, this is calls, we're not, and penalties are, I guess, the same. Right?
Penalties are close to the same. The lines tend to blur a little bit more because sometimes we get blocked out of angles and you need help from a different official. But whistle zone should be pretty easy to follow because we don't want 3 whistles on the play because that means we're all watching the ball.
Yeah. Alright, so where do we think line is going to have their whistle?
On the line and down the line.
So for the line judge, since the line judge is grabbing the spots on the plays, they're going to have most of the field. Alright, so they have a lot of here in terms of the spot on the whistles, and they definitely have this sideline.
Now keep in mind, as the ball progresses downfield on a run play, the line judge stays with it, so that zone just moves with it. That doesn't stay stationary of where the previous spot was. As the player runs down the field towards the 40-20 goal line, the line judge moves with it, and so does that whistle zone shifts with it.
So so field judge
My bad.
has their sideline primarily, and that's mostly where they're going to have, so out of bounds, or if it's really close to their sideline where the line judge can't see the spot well.
A gray area right here, Trek, would be like right here.
Right.
On like, not quite sure if it's the field or the line, and not quite sure exactly. That's something that the line and the field talked about before the game of how much the field is going to take on this line movement.
And then for all plays, we really want, since we only want one whistle, give the primary person the chance to blow it. So if we have a play somewhat over here or down the field, and you're the field judge, give the line judge like a chance to blow a whistle. But if you give them a chance and you wait a little bit, and you're the field judge, blow your whistle because we need the whistle to kill the play.
Good.
And the back judge obviously has everything back here to the goal line. Is there any questions?
3-man, that back judge will pretty much just take that sideline that the field has.
What I've kind of been starting to harp on as the season's gone on is notice that the back judge is responsible for like 98% of the goal line. Okay? I've seen a lot of times the back judge, if the ball is being run up the field on a breakaway run, the back judge will carry into the end zone, and then the line judge obviously is going to be behind the play because he's not going to be sprinting as fast as the player with the ball is going to be. So by the time the running back, person with the ball, gets to the goal line, we have the back judge in the end zone and the line judge behind the play around here, and we don't know who's supposed to call it. It's the back judge's responsibility to cover almost all of this goal line. Okay, we'll cover movement later, but just notice that the back judge's line there is the goal line, which is important.
And as a line judge or the field judge, as you're following that play up, you still have your lines, your sidelines. So if they step out of bounds, that's your call. All right, so now we moved into a third or fourth and short. So we got the line of scrimmage here. The zone line to gain is the 40. So key things to note: field judge isn't 10 yards downfield anymore. So third and fourth down, we really want the field judge to stay on the line.
The line to gain.
Line to gain. So R, what would the R have?
All of the back.
Yep, so their responsibilities stay the same. They have the backfield. Now, the line judge just changed, or the line judge's responsibility changes. So how would it change for third and fourth? Third or fourth and short?
Why is the ref?
It does, yeah,
He's prepped for that safety.
Chill, chill,
I
chill.
have to get the first down.
I'm human, Derek.
Sorry.
So where are we thinking the line judge has?
They have the first down line on their side.
Yeah, so line judge has the first down line on their side. So they have this. They still have the sideline, but when we have this on the snap, we're gonna probably want you to move over to the 40 so you can see your side of the line to gain.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that changes on third and fourth down specifically?
Accurate spot of the ball. Only caring if they get a first down. Like, you don't have to super accurately get a spot if they get past the first down. I mean, you want to try and be as accurate as you can, but if your spot's not super accurate, that's not important because it's like a touchdown. Because when we get closer to the end zone, the field judge isn't supposed to go all the way into the end zone. It's supposed to stay on the end zone line so that we can see it and tell if it's a touchdown or not, suddenly if it's a first down or not.
Right. Teams care more. That's really the simplest answer. Teams care more whether they get a first down when it's third and fourth down as opposed to first or second down. This becomes a vital line, and quite honestly, we're going to have a much better chance of getting it right if we take what's closest to us. So move the field judge down. He takes his half of the line.
Yeah, so field judge would just mimic the line in the sense that they have their sideline and that half of the field on the line to gain. And then back judge would just have everything in the back. Cool. Any questions? Alright, so now we are inside the 10. So you notice the back judge is now behind or on the back. End zone, end line. Field judge is going to stay on the goal line, and then we have the line judge on the line. So for the referee, where is his or her responsibility now? Same, right? So we're still
Move the R up for you, Derek, like that.
We're still, R still got the backfield here. Right, so they have the whole backfield. Now, or does the line judge have?
The line and his side.
Say that again.
The line and his side of the area.
So all of, like the sideline and line of scrimmage.
His like sideline in the corner, and then like up to like the middle. Cause isn't it like the short?
You're really close. So, since the goal line is the most important line here, right? So we're going to cut that in half with the field and the L. But the line judge still has most of the line of scrimmage. So notice how the goal line is left to the field judge's half, but the line of scrimmage still stays with the line. Okay?
So when we get close like this, what we're trying to do is, as a line judge, you're going to watch that initial rush, and then as soon as the play gets on, we want you to shuffle down or jog down to the goal line so you can be there if we have a close play.
If we're like 3 to 5 yards from the goal line, we don't want to get beat to the goal line by the players if you're the L, because we want to beat them there. Because how many times have you made a short or a touchdown call and been yelled at?
Like 100.
One, it's every time you call it. But if this is like the goal line, if I do this, he's short. Less believable than if I'm short, because I'm already there. They know if we're out of position and hustling because we have a bad angle. If we're waiting for it and we just look right down the line and we have a perfect angle, they're still going to complain because they're idiots. But at least we have credibility.
You can look at them and say, I was right there, I saw where your flags were pulled, and I know where the ball was.
You can say,
That's
I
all
was
you
in
have to
perfect
say.
position.
Whereas if you're leaning, you're like, you have nothing to say except that I saw it from where I was, and that sounds a lot worse than
Right.
I was right there. Additionally, this inside of 10 yards, this communication between the back judge, line judge, and field judge becomes really, really important. Back judge needs to be communicating with those linesmen. Who's got the corners? If there's a catch in the corner of the end zone, we need to be looking at each other to confirm from both angles that he was in bounds. Stuff like that. So just to remind each other when you get down there, you can look at each other, yell, corners, I got corners. Just to remind yourself that you're going to want to look up and double check with your other official. You're going to give each other a head nod, and then one of you can make the call.
What is a potential like conflict you could see based off of these zones?
If like the field judge and the line judge have like different angle on it, they might call it like short, or one might call it a touchdown.
Right.
when they
What
constantly-
if it's like right here? They both might think it's their call. Trek goes to the other side of me. I might have him in. Trek might have him short. If you go up with a touchdown, I come up short at the same time. If you go up with a touchdown, like, that's not good.
Yeah.
Then the players are gonna be like, oh, like, who's gonna have the call? And then whoever
Overthrows or overturns the other one loses credibility.
Exactly. So what we should do here is if Trek and I know that it might be in the middle, I'm going to give Trek a let's talk on this before the play. Like, we're going to come together and like figure out what happened. 2, if I have him short, I'm walking in like this. I'm not signaling anything, but I'm walking in like this. And if you think he's in, then go ahead and override me. If you think he's short as well, then we can both come up short. Or if I think he's in and I'm not in touchdown, then Trek can go ahead and call touchdown. Okay? Or if we really, really like are both firm in our, if I think he's not in and Trek nods and thinks he's in, we're not signaling anything, so the players don't really know. We haven't given a signal yet. But if I really think he's short and he really thinks it was in, then we can run into the middle and then talk about it and then come out with or he was short.
Running in and talking about it might seem like you lose credibility, but you lose so much less credibility than if you come up with different signals. It is 10 times better to talk about it than it is to come up with conflicting signals.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we could put a video in, but if you watch the NFL, when we had the replacement refs on the Cowboys
A Packer or
or the
Seahawks?
Packers-Seahawks game, and they both had the
Touchdown
different
section.
signals, yeah. That's how
So
it would be.
one thing I've noticed in games, how often, based on this diagram, is the back judge going to signal touchdown?
Only if it's passing the back.
Pretty much only if the pass is caught right on his end line. That's not very often. JC, how many times do you signal touchdown if we're inside of 10 yards?
I think once all year.
Right. It's rare to see plays caught at the back line because one players aren't good enough to do that. But also, this is another thing I want to cover as far as credibility and looking good as officials. How many people do we need to signal touchdown? Just one. So many times I've seen somebody call touchdown and then everybody else mimic it. We only need one of those. Okay? How many people do we need for this? How many people do we need for this? How many people do we need for this? How many people do we need for this?
3, 1.
Okay? How many people do we need for this? 4!
Everybody.
Everyone should signal that the clock is stopped. Now I'll ask you another question. Does this stop the clock?
Yes.
Does this stop the clock?
Yeah.
Does this stop the clock? Yeah, under 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So we don't need a touchdown, clock is stopped. No, this stops the clock.
See,
This
with
stops the clock.
incomplete too.
This stops the clock. Okay? Yes?
And then that's important for when we're operating time, if you're operating time in the playoff game and we're getting under 2 minutes. so the officials have confidence that you know that this stops the clock, so they don't need to yell. I mean, you do should tell the players clock is stopped, but we don't be like this, man, the clock stopped, and you just keep yelling back and forth from the sideline until we stop the clock.
This is important to know too, if you're operating scoreboards, if we have a forfeit 1 hour and you guys get to sit around, if one of you is operating the scoreboard, we need to be paying attention to the refs and looking for those signals and know what kills the clock as well under 2 minutes.
Now, if you throw a flag on a play, first step is always to finish officiating the play. If we're under 2 minutes, what's your second immediate step? Stop the clock. Good, because the foul stops the clock. But we'll go on to that in more depth. All right, let's talk about movement really quick. Yeah. So we talk about what one to look for, when is our whistle, but as the players move, this isn't so pretty and easy anymore. So how do we move with the players? Well, one, as the quarterback moves back, we know the R needs to move back with them. Go ahead and give me a play trick. We should keep this relationship, right? We know that we've covered that. I think players have done a good job with that. Yeah.
Talk about the R moving up to the goal line to watch for safety. That's deceptive.
So when the quarterback goes to the goal line, this is deceptive. It's never going to happen, but I should tell you this anyway. Quarterback goes to the goal line. Why does this goal line become important now?
Because they can score a safety
Yeah. So where should the R probably move to?
on the line.
Not an ideal place to be, and it's only going to happen on the goal line. But be ready for that, okay? Yes, Tim.
So are we not gonna do the reverse mechanics? that
We can talk about that.
We
at the
can
end.
talk about that. Cyrus, wake up. We can talk about that.
Now he's got to watch the video.
Do you want to go over that?
We should.
Okay.
If we're going to go over inside of
You
10
wanna
on the
go
other
over
side.
Yeah, I'll cover this really quick.
Pay attention. This is going to be very important.
Very easy. The ball is inside of 10 yards, towards the goal line. Doesn't happen very often, unless we have like a false start that moves us from the 14 to the 9. We are in what we call reverse mechanics. And the sole purpose of reverse mechanics is to cover the goal line in case of a safety. So if Trek's the R, and I'm the line,
So what I'm gonna do, hey Matthew, right here, we're reverse mechanics, and he'll
I'll
make the
mimic.
signal.
so I'm on the line of scrimmage. As the ball is snapped, I immediately get to the goal line. Okay? And Trek immediately gets to the end line. Okay? So if the ball leaves out here, it's a safety, Trek knows. If the ball hits the ground here or is deflagged here, that's my call, I'm right on the line. Inside of 10 yards. It used to be 8, but they changed it in the rulebook, so it's
Okay.
definitely 10. Okay?
That's very easy. You'll know that because there's a 10-yard line, so it should be very easy to be able to communicate that.
Yeah.
Did the field and back judge?
Nope, they won't move. Maybe if you're a field, just be cognizant that your L is pretty way out of position, so you might want to cheat up a little bit to help them out, but they don't need to move for that. Any questions on that? Now, if you know you have a team, thought of as reading the situation, 10 yards is a long ways to move all the way back to the goal line. If you have a team that scrambles around in the backfield a lot, that's very necessary. If you have a team like my team where I just throw it as soon as I get it pretty much, you're not going to need, maybe the R will make a decision that I don't want to do that, so we're not going to signal this, okay? But if we're inside 5 or 3, definitely need to be in reverse mechanics. Okay, let's talk about movement. Quarterback moves with the R, keeps the relationship here.
Yeah.
What's the policy for safety? Like, do they have to have both feet in the end zone, or is it like?
It's where the ball is.
Oh, okay.
The only exception to that is if your quarterback steps on the back line of the end zone, he's out of bounds at that point, and you'll have a safety.
Which is the whose call? Which is why he moves to the end line. See how everything works out? Oh, it's so good. All right, give me another click. As the linemen move upfield, as normally happens, the L, that's not going to suck the L back. The L is going to stay put, maybe even take a shuffle or 2 downfield, because as we just talked about, his vision is the middle of the field, 5 to 7 yards deep. Ryan, wake up. Next. Back judge is going to keep his depth as the receivers move downfield. Okay, field stays put. Good. All right.
That's a Matthew Eastmo throw if I've ever seen one.
No, it didn't go to the other team.
We're 3-0 when I play. All right. Ball's caught in the middle of the field. What's the L gonna do?
Scoot down.
Well, now, yeah. Now, basically, if we think about the line of scrimmage as where the ball is, the L needs to get to that responsibility. Okay. And the field is also going to stay ahead of the play as well. So why don't you give me a clip track? Oh.
Already moved them. They moved.
Oh, they moved already? Okay. So what are our vision lines here now that the ball is like live and in play, the L's caught up and the field's caught up? What's the L looking at? Very easy. It's not so much of a zone anymore, but the ball. Okay? The L's basically are eyes on the ball and anybody who's going to try and deflag him. So a flag guarding, illegal contact foul on the ball, that's always the L. What's the F going to be looking at?
So like potential legal contacts on blocking.
Yep. So the L, or the F, if we call, what is the word of the circles?
Radius?
No,
Circumference?
No, not the math word, the officiating word. If we think of the ball with circles around it, the ball itself is zone 1, that's the L. The second circle around it is going to be the F. The things that are not the ball, but could eventually impact the ball. So like potential screens, people blocking each other, people who are going to pull flags, that kind of stuff. So second circle is the F. Third circle, much broader, is going to be the back judge. Okay, and the back judge is still moving back, trying to stay ahead of the play as it's coming towards him. Okay, and then the R is basically just making sure that the quarterback doesn't get punched in the face or something, and then if people clear out, he's watching the play from behind. Really probably not going to throw a flag from back here unless it's some sort of unsportsmanlike. But that's why we need to have our zones. Okay, so we're watching all the parts of the field. We don't have 4 people watching the ball. I really want to try and avoid that as the playoffs move on. Okay.
If the ball moves, like if the runner takes off towards the field judge, does he take, like flag guarding is hard to see from the line judge at that point?
Yeah, so now we're in kind of the gray zone if it might be both.
Okay, so he can take that?
But I do want to get away from having 3 flags for 1 flag guarding. Okay. Let's like Trek said, let's let the primary person have a chance to throw it, and if they miss it and it's bad enough, then we'll add 1. But I don't want to have 3 flags because that means we're all watching the ball. Okay? This was supposed to just be the next slide. They're all supposed to be in the same place, so nothing has changed. I'm just not quite good at this. Okay? Great speed out of the scorer. Where should the back judge be?
Goal line.
Right on the goal line, and he should have beat the ball carrier, right? I don't know how to make them go at the same time, so that's the best I can do. So the L is going to be trailing this, obviously, but probably unless where Ryan doesn't have the speed to hang on and make that call. Okay? If the L is here before the ball gets here, 1, we're freak athletes and we shouldn't be reffing. 2, that's probably the L's call. And then the field judge is going to try and keep up with it too, while maintaining the idea of getting these second and third rings of where potential fouls could happen. It's a non-contact sport, so you won't see it as much as you might tackle, but it's important to make sure we're not all watching the ball, meanwhile there's a fight breaking out over here, and I don't know how it happened. Okay? Okay.
Alright, so crew communication. So we talked about this a little bit on the first day of training, and we probably talked to you about it a few times during the season, but now as we get into playoffs and we get into higher intensity and higher stakes games, we really need to focus on communicating well as a crew. Alright, so what should we be doing? So the R and the L count offensive flag belts. So we don't want to count people because that doesn't matter as much as flag belts. So we have 7 flag belts, we're going to have 7 people. Field and the back judge count defensive flag belts, and the signal for that is a fist out. So if I'm the line and Matthew is the R, hey Matthew, I got 7 right here.
I got 7.
Yeah, and that's it. Now, if they have 6, we're down here. So we're just down for 6 or less, and then we're up for 8.
What's the difference between thumbs down and thumbs up from an official's perspective?
Thumbs down, they can play. Thumbs up, it's a penalty.
Bingo.
And that's something we want to use preventative officiating, like, we can tell them.
Alright, let's say Chuck and I do a good job counting flag belts. I got 8, Chuck.
Yeah.
Okay, are we gonna let the snap happen?
No,
This is something we haven't covered. Why?
because they would, first off, it's against the rules, correct?
First of all, can somebody explain to me the difference between illegal participation and illegal substitution? Tim?
Actually, I don't, this might be wrong, but illegal participation is when you go out, you're not forced out of bounds, when you come back in and touch the ball, or you're on the sideline and then you come in the middle of the play.
Illegal participation is participating in the play illegally, and that can be defined as.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, come on.
You're thinking of it in a very specific case. Illegal participation can be very, very broad. So-
Yeah.
Like as far as illegally participating, I don't even necessarily have to touch the ball. If I contact another player or if I make a block 10 yards downfield when I'm illegally participating, we have illegal participation. The idea of someone coming into the play halfway through is still correct, but if I'm participating illegally in any way, that's when we'll have a foul. But your instances are correct, they're just specific instances.
What if they don't do anything?
They don't do anything?
Yeah.
They're still playing with 8 people on defense. So if you are playing with 8 people on defense, all the players are actively engaged in the play, so they're participating. The location of, I don't want to discuss it too much farther because it gets complicated from an enforcement perspective. But if we have 8 players who play an entire down, we're going to throw that flag for illegal participation and enforce the penalty that
So
way.
the reason why it matters for us to count players is if I say, hey, Chuck, I got 8.
Yeah.
Offense, you got 8. They need to get one off. Once the play starts, we're going to have illegal participation. Or if he runs off after the snap, then it's illegal
So-
substitution.
Yeah,
Right?
so it's,
Because since we don't have a huddle, I'm going to clarify this with you. Since we don't have a huddle, we don't have illegal substitution until the ball is snapped and then he runs off.
yeah, so it's live ball. It's live ball because you need the snap to happen for it to be a penalty.
And you enforce at the end of the run.
Nope,
No.
it's going to be previous spot.
Because it's live ball because we have 8 on the field, they have until the snap to get off.
Yep.
They need the snap to have it be a penalty. And that's the same reason why you think of illegal shift and illegal motion as live ball penalties. You need the snap to happen because they could do something before the snap to make it legal.
And just to kind of prove a point on that, when my team was playing Fidel, I don't know who was reffing, I knew nobody was counting players, so we played the down with 8 people just to see what the officials would do, and nobody was counting, so nobody saw anything.
And
And
then
just
Matthew
to,
got hurt and then karma just comes back around. That's how it works.
and just to clarify, there should, in a perfect world, there will never be a play where offense or defense gets to play an entire down with 8 people. If we're doing our jobs correctly, that should not happen. Unless the player comes on in the middle of the play from the sideline or something. But if they start with 8 players on the field, the play should not occur.
No. Yeah, I can.
If he's running off, then there's going to be substitution. You shouldn't have 8 people on the field.
That's not a foul. All right, we'll clarify later. Basically, if you play with 8 people, it's illegal participation. We're going to clarify the part where he runs off or not, because that might be different between high school and flag.
Yeah, I think
But that's why we count. We need to make sure they have 7, not 8. They can play with 6, they can play with 5, they can play with 4, they cannot play with 8.
Yeah.
The
Okay?
lines
And then-
get blurred.
If, say, you know, we have a team that only has 6, and they're not gonna have 7 for the whole game, we don't, no, never mind.
We don't need,
I mean,
we don't need to keep
We
doing
don't
thumbs
need, hey
down.
Matthew, we got less players, we can just be like, yeah, we're fine, because we know that's what they have.
Yeah.
And this, so, field judge and back judge should be on the defense, and they do the exact same thing, so we
Yep.
have everybody covered. So what down is it? So we need everyone signaling the down. So the simplest way to do this, I think, is, and the way for you to keep track of it is, once the down finishes, hey, we got 2nd down. So if you just say it to the players, and just like, oh, we got 2nd down coming up, then you know as well that we got 2nd down.
And what I like to have started doing as my R when I work with you guys is, first down, signal to both my F and my L, just to get us involved in the play. Because if 3 plays happen and we haven't signaled a down, players don't know, we're not on the same page. And it sucks if you're the field judge and the player asks, hey, what down is it? Don't guess, because if you're wrong, you're screwed, because then they have a case to complain. Well, he told me to start down. We need to know the answer, because if we don't know the answer, basically it proves you're not watching the game. Okay? So, and that's really easily solved by communicating every down, first down, second down.
First down, guys.
Just a simple hand gesture to your crewmate, and it makes the game go faster because you're involved.
So on the same lines, we need to know who has the zone line to gain. So that kind of goes back to our little animations in terms of field judge and line judge, who has that zone line when it comes to it. And that's easily communicated just from field judge and line judge. Another thing, oh, you have a big on it. So corners, we definitely emphasize this during training, but hey, we got corners, back judge A, we got corners. Pretty simple. I think a lot of people, we're really good about telling people that we have work.
Yeah, I probably didn't get it out there.
Corners. And then for correct is the play open and closed, and that kind of goes along the lines of what down is it. And that's pretty simple in terms of same thing when you say the down, tell them it's closed or open. We got first down, it's still closed, guys. And that's, I like to do that as an R because I know I'll forget it if I don't say it.
Yeah, and that's communicating with the players, also with the officials. If I'm the L, Trek's my head, or my R, I know the play's going to be open, I'm coming up like this. It's just that gesture between me and Trek helps the game flow so much. Because we're on the same page, the players are on the same page, prevents any problems of, oh, I thought that was closed. Well, no, we've definitely all been saying it was open, so that's your fault. If we tell them the wrong answer, then they have the case, and maybe we need to fix it.
So awareness. So this is just some things that.
This is just to feed off of communication,
Yeah.
to be honest, but yeah.
Yeah. So what is the score? So we have nice scoreboards now, so it's pretty easy to know what the score is. But we should be aware of what the score is. So I talked to some people last night or the night before, but if we got a blowout, we don't need to be announcing the score after the touchdown and stuff. If it's close, we can be announcing the score. Hey, we got 7-6 white, we're going this way. If it's like 30-0, we don't need to announce it because it seems like we're rubbing it into the players and that just escalates, especially if they're already frustrated with themselves that they're losing. A lot of people, I mean, you'll notice a lot of teams do have fun after they're down like 30-0, but a lot of teams aren't having fun at that point. How much time is left? So, same thing, we have these nice scoreboards, but it's still good habit to keep an eye on them and announce 15, 10, 5, and as the game goes on, under 2 minutes, if we're under 2 minute warnings, just so the players know, because now since we have these nice scoreboards, all of a sudden it's 30 seconds and nobody really knew because we're not paying attention to the time. So who are the GFUs? So I think by now you've probably all officiated enough in the different divisions to know who the GFUs are in their respective divisions in terms of like the undergrad teams or the grad school players, what teams are going to give you the most trouble. So it's good to know who they are, identify them, talk to your crew to make sure that you all know who the GFUs are so you can keep an eye on them. Who are the actual captains? So just because they're the captain of the team and they come up for the captain's meeting doesn't mean they're the most reasonable person that you want to go talk to. A lot of times they are the most reasonable person, but a lot of times they're not.
Like on my team, sometimes Trex goes to the captain's meeting, but you're not going to want to talk to him about
Yeah.
sportsmanship.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
he's an asshole.
True. Yeah.
And Matthew's a ball of sunshine.
That's true also.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. So identify who those players are. If you built a good relationship with them, or you kind of know that, or you know them, or you know they're reasonable, you can talk to those players. But I can think of a number of teams that I know the captain, and I know they're not the person I want to talk to when there's a UC or when there's some kind of issue that we need to talk about.
Really quick, raise your hand if you've had problems with a player arguing a call or just generally being disrespectful. An encounter, it doesn't even need to be a problem. Yeah, almost everybody's raising their hand. Okay, it's not the easiest thing to confront that player and be like, you need to be better. Because one, it makes us look like we're kind of oppressing them.
condescending.
or condescending, even though most of us are going to be younger than the people that we rep. So that's not always the best way to do it. Sometimes it is, if you think they're receptive to that, or your communication skills are good enough to try and handle that encounter well. A lot of times it's not.
Yeah.
So the actual captains are going to be really helpful if Trek is the actual captain, which on my team he actually probably is. Hey Trek, you need to cool off, JC. We're gonna have a problem. Okay.
All right. JC, quiet.
Shut up, Trek.
Oh. That's,
That's how it goes in the game too, but after Trex talks to me, I probably shut up.
That's if your own teammate calls you out. It's really, really like it works every time. I swear.
It sucks to get called out by your own teammate, someone who is watching, like someone you're good friends with, for being unsportsmanlike.
And the player that you talk to is going to be really appreciative that you warned them to fix a problem before it actually cost them in the game. And so most of the time it's like, oh yeah, okay. And they're like, they kind of feel good that like you're their guy, you know, like, oh, I'm the guy he thinks is a good sport. They'll take care of it if you tell them. Okay, so that's a good tool to use for preventing conflict.
next thing is knowing the tendencies of teams, like things like, do they like to throw backwards passes a lot? Does the quarterback scramble? Things like that, if they're running a lot of trick plays, for example. I mean, like going back to the animation, knowing that helps positioning. So if, you know, they're going to scramble, we're going to want to drop back if we're close to the goal line. If they're throwing backwards passes and you're the fielder or the line judge, making sure you're in good position to yell back or forward. I'm sure a lot of you have had games where there's a backwards pass and they're all like, no, that was forward. The other team's like, that was forward, and you had it backwards, and then now they're upset. And the last thing is it getting chippy. This is a good thing for preventative officiating, especially if we have a close game in the playoffs.
What do we mean by preventative officiating? Do we have a guess? Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop things before it happens.
Yeah. So, is the game getting chippy? That's something like at the beginning we can set the tone with preventative officiating. So, not letting illegal contacts on the line go, or stopping trash talk before it gets too far, because we don't stop it in the first half. Now in the second half we have a 1-point game and someone just hit another player or hit someone out of bounds or something. It's hard to step up in that point if we haven't been there already.
Good. Questions on awareness, comments, experiences you would like to share with the family? Timothy.
Just make sure you don't antagonize up there. Like,
We're getting there, Tim. We're getting there. You're ahead
No
of the game.
names.
Yeah.
If, like, this happened a lot to me in, like, on Monday with Brad. I warned them, I was like, hey, you need, like, a solid bet to like, be better on the line is put your hands behind your back when you're rushing so there isn't any contact. And they were like, oh yeah, sure. And then they did it, and I called them on it. And they kept on doing it after I called them on it. And I kept on calling it. Is that okay then?
So, JC and I worked a game, actually that might have been Michael, I worked a game last year. I called maybe 5 illegal contacts in a row because they didn't adjust the play. They kept playing illegally. That doesn't mean I changed my standard for how I'm going to call the game because they're not listening to me. No. Like, if they're still not changing the way they play, keep calling it. And it might be worth, captains, come here. I've called 5 illegal contacts in a row, and you guys haven't changed anything. We can sit here and keep stopping the game for penalties, or you can change the way you're going to play, or we're going to be here all night.
That was definitely my game. They stop after that. Like 99% of the time, they will listen to you if you stop the game and communicate with them, because they don't want penalties. They want to understand.
Yeah. So it's good that you told them, hey, that's illegal. Best thing to do is keep your hands behind your back, or, you know, don't use your hands to gain advantage or things like that. But after you talk to them, we can keep throwing that penalty because it's illegal and you know it's illegal, and that's the rule. We don't want to, oh, they're doing it all the time, so we drop our standards before them.
Yeah. This is where I think just being personable helps. Of just like, you don't need to be the boss guy referee. You can come in here and be like, guys, there's a problem. Let's fix it. Like, you're fouling and you're complaining. Just quit being annoying. It doesn't need to be a, well, your body weight inside the frame. Like, yeah, that'll help. But ultimately, they just need to change where they're playing, and we can tell them that. That's okay. But do so in a respectful way, not a condescending way. Because nobody likes being told by an 18-year-old that they're wrong.
Alright, so 2-minute mechanics. So until the final 2 minutes of the half, the clock will run, stopping only for timeouts. I think we've all done a pretty good job of that. Yeah, but when we're at the 2-minute warning, the last 2 minutes of the game, we're stopping. And remember, the 2-minute warning isn't exactly necessarily 2 minutes exactly. It can be under 2 minutes, and the good example of that is we got a ball snapped at 2:01. So when the play is done, we're at 1:55. That's when the 2-minute warning is. We don't need to say, hey, add 5 seconds, so we're at 2 minutes.
Good.
And then, like we talked about, this is when communication signals and mechanics are really key, because chances are pace is picking up, the games are getting a little bit more intense, so we definitely need to be all on the same page as a crew.
This is a good question. If, let's say there's 30 seconds left in the first half, with a long play, or offense is slowly moving on field, and they're yelling, hustle, hustle, hustle. What do you do as a referee there? Because you're the one who's going to be setting the pucks, / enforcing penalties, / being the annoying guy who's taking up time, that they're going to be annoyed.
Don't change a thing.
Don't change a thing. What I would add to that is let's not have a slow pace to begin with.
Yeah.
Because we can't change a thing. But if we have a really slow pace to begin with, and they're 30 seconds is walking down, and we're just
Right.
they're gonna hate you.
Yeah.
I would. Like, that's just annoying. Have a nice, reasonable, not a walk, not a sprint, a nice, reasonable jog, set the pucks, get back to your position. It should be the same throughout the whole game. That way, when the game's getting tight, we're consistent, we're fair, but we're still not screwing them out of extra time. Does that make sense?
When you say don't change a thing, the thing I would also add to that is what we can change is when we build it ready for play.
Yes.
So if we're through the game and you've been saying, first down, 20 to game, beep, and then you let the play go. When they're picking it up, what you can do is you blow it in first and then announce, and if they hike the ball after, you can just stop. Because chances are, 1, they know, 2, they probably don't care what the down is and what the zone line to gain is, because they just want to get the plays going. So if you blow the whistle, it can speed up the pace. So here's our major and minor clock stoppers. We went over this a little bit already today, but major clock stoppers, we got 2-minute warning, incomplete pass, out of bounds safety, touchbacks, touchdowns, timeouts. New series for defense, so that's punt or interception. That's a major clock stopper.
What's the signal for that, by the way? Let's say we have interception, and then he's down. Good, Luke.
Yeah.
Good, Nate.
Yeah. Stop the clock.
And should everybody mimic that, yes or no?
No.
Yes.
Ah, who said no?
We're gonna let.
This signal, we're always mimicking. Okay? All 4.
And then, remember for major clock stoppers, we can just have, hey, you guys run the snap, and that's really just for your crew, so everyone's on the same page. We're on the snap here, make eye contact so everybody knows.
Make sure it's whoever's running the scoreboard, make that too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And,
something Tim and I have gotten, Tim often runs a scoreboard in the last 2 minutes when we have stop. And I'll just give him a this or a this, and he'll give it back, so I know we're on the same page. It's as easy as that.
yeah, and that's when everyone's here, like today, and we're going over this again, if Amanda's running the scoreboard, I have 100% confidence that she knows everything, so I don't need to be as the referee, yelling at her that if we're stopping the clock on the snap or we're starting it on the whistle.
Don't let that stop you from being vocal with the players too. A lot of the players won't know, so give them help. If they get a first down, be like, all right, clock stop, start on my whistle. That's all you need to do. By playoffs, they'll probably know, but feel free to be vocal once or twice about it.
Oh,
let
yeah.
them know.
Players love that.
Yeah.
If you come in, if it's like a run, and Matthew's the field, and he blows it, because it's out on your sideline, but you blow it that he was deflagged inbounds.
You
You
gotta let
can
them
give
know.
this if you want, knowing that the clock's running, but you can say, deflect inbounds, clock's running,
Yeah.
and they all know, and they appreciate that. Instead of just giving a, And if you don't do this, obviously the clock's still running, but they don't maybe know that.
Yeah. And
So-
the same thing for like, we got a first down, in bounds, all the players are running up. You can tell them, hey, clock is stopped, clock is stopped. Because a lot of times they're like, come on, let's go. And they're like trying to get you to hurry up and you just be like, you can walk, or we don't have to walk, but we can take a second because the clock is stopped, so don't worry about it. Because that's all they care about really, is the clock. So minor clock stoppers, I mean, yeah, I guess we're not going there.
Sorry.
We covered that.
Yeah, so first downs for offense, inbounds. Penalties and enforcements, we're stopping the clock. Officials timeouts, we're gonna stop the clock. And an inadvertent whistle is a minor clock stopper.
Why do we think an official's timeout would be a minor clock stopper?
Because it wasn't one of the teams that called it, it was you that called it.
Yeah, it was something outside the course of the game that we stopped the clock for, so we want to resume the normalcy of the game as fast as possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then we got major and minor. Major is always gonna take precedence. So we got a first down, but it's out of bounds. Out of bounds is gonna take precedence over the first down.
Right. Which is why it's important. Let's say Harvey's the field judge or the line judge. Either way, it's run out of bounds on your sideline and it's a first down. So we're going to stop the clock regardless because it's first down. Now the R needs to know if. Why does the R need to know if he was inbounds or out of bounds?
Signal to the clock what needs to happen.
What's the difference between the two, or are they the same?
One starts on the whistle, one starts on the snap.
Yes. So if Harvey signals first down, out of bounds, then the R knows clock is starting on the snap. Or first down, inbounds, clock starts on the whistle. Okay? And the players would love to know that because if they think, oh, first down, clock stops, and you blow your whistle and they're just hanging out, well, the clock's rolling, and they would be mad to not know that was happening.
Again, we clock is stopping. All officials are gonna signal that the clock is stopped.
Unless it's a signal that already stops the clock, like a touchdown or a touchdown.
This is the only one you'll mimic. Just think of it that way.
We may have talked about this like earlier on in the year, but what's the like policy regarding spiking? Like if they're trying to kill the clock like under 2 minutes or something, is it like if they throw it behind the line, are you gonna mark it from that spot, or are we just gonna leave it at the original line of scrimmage
Good question. So, what's the concept of spiking the ball?
to kill the clock?
Yeah, why is that legal?
It's an incomplete pass technically.
Technically, it's an incomplete pass. So it's not a fumble because then it would be. Think of real football. If we mark the ball down where it hit the ground, it's basically a what? It's our version of a fumble. It was fumbled, so the ball's down where it hit the ground. If it was a fumble, we wouldn't stop the clock. So the purpose of spiking is an incomplete pass to stop the clock. So we have an incomplete pass, previous spot.
Okay.
Now the thing to watch is you can't do the under the center spike. It's illegal. You have to still be 2 yards from the center, so just keep an eye on that. But a spike is perfectly legal. Okay? They're just thrown into the ground. And it doesn't even need to be a cocked back thing. Just make sure that they had control of the ball and that they intentionally pushed it to the ground. It can even be something like catching down. Okay? It doesn't need to be a throw. Just make sure that they didn't drop it. Because then we're rolling.
Is it, they have to go right away, they can't like,
What?
like for a spike, it has to be like right after the snap, they can't like drop back and then
Right.
throw it on the ground.
Really,
You have to make sure receiver's in the area at that point.
Right, does that make sense to everybody? Yeah.
But in flag football, everyone's an eligible receiver and even a lineman, so you're not gonna have a problem with that really. Whoa. Had two
We
of
do
those,
like,
my bad.
there was different things, go back.
Really?
Yeah. So,
No.
yeah, so how many timeouts do each team have? So that's a good thing to tell them at the 2-minute warning. Hey guys, we each got 2 timeouts, so we got 1 and 2. That's also a good thing to go over at halftime with the team, so you guys 1 timeout for the rest of the game.
That's a great thing to announce in the 2-minute warning.
Yeah.
And dude, like, give what you would say as if you're the R calling the 2-minute warning, just so they get an idea of like how. Good luck. Because you give a good 2-minute
Yeah.
warning.
Alright guys, we got 2-minute warning. Blue, you got 2 timeouts left. Green, you got 1 timeout left. Clock starting on whatever. on the snap.
It's always gonna start at the snap
Yeah.
after 2 minute warning to the end of the period, basically.
Yeah. And that's all, it's pretty simple. We got, say you can do it at the line judge, 2 timeouts, 1 timeout, just so they know.
High school stop clock rules.
High school.
Most of the people don't know what that means, some people do. They ask you, then you can tell them. But most of the people just know, like, first down,
Stop
out of
clock,
bounds.
that's all they hear.
Yeah. You could say stop clock rules for the rest of the game, too. That would mean the same thing.
So, player equipment, so.
This is, you guys know this, we just got in trouble because we weren't enforcing it, but that really should be you guys.
Yeah, so we really need to crack down on these kind of things. So no jewelry. So if you see it, it must come off. So big thing is going to be Fitbits and things like that. That needs to come off, and they'll be surprised. They're like, "Oh, I can do my steps in today," or whatever. But still need that to come off. Rubber bands need to come off. Anything like that. A lot of people have chains. All that needs to come off. You
I was just gonna say, like, check the guys, like, probably half of them wear necklaces
Yeah,
usually,
same thing.
and almost none of them take them off.
Yeah, yeah. And girls have earrings in, make sure we ask them to take it off. Yeah.
Okay, so like, what about me? Cause I recently just got my ears pierced, so I gotta keep them in for 30 days.
They need to cover it with tape.
So, the tricky thing.
Nate's that guy.
They need to cover it with tape, but we can't just
Keep
offer
them.
our tape.
Yeah.
They have to ask specifically for it.
So, if it's covered and you can't see it, you can leave it there, but like,
Can't see it, I don't know it's there.
yeah. But we can't be like, once you see it, can't be like, oh, just go cover it up with tape, because now we know it's there. So,
we can ask for tape.
No.
They're allowed to ask for tape if they want, but we're not allowed to offer it.
Oh, they can?
That's what we've done in the past. We can talk with Greg about that on Thursday.
It's a rare case, but
It happens with
No.
girls games more often.
yeah, right.
Like nose piercings and stuff too.
Yeah. And if they ask, just tell them it's for your safety, because they got a collision on the ground or with someone else, and that earring gets ripped out of their ear.
Along those lines, it's not your responsibility to wait for them to go get their piercings out. If we're game time, we still need to get the game started. We're not gonna just wait for them to go find something to go cover it with. Let's get the game started and keep things going.
And like you can say this in the captain's meeting, like I just freaking last game I had 2 grad school teams who I'd worked for 3 years. I know both the captains. All right, I just like you guys know the rules. No pockets, no jewelry. Check your teams out. I expect you guys can take care of that stuff. Yeah, we're good.
They always, I think every captain tells you that.
I like
No.
second half's rolling. I'm looking at the team and like 3 guys have pockets,
Yeah.
and I'm like, why did you not? You told me you were good. Like
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. So basically, after the play, they scored. So I didn't want to screw them with an illegal equipment penalty. So I went up to the captain. I was like, Dom, you have 4 guys with shorts on, with pockets. You can take a timeout and fix that, or take the penalty on the next play if you don't want to do that. And he's like, oh shit. Okay, we'll take a timeout. So then I took a timeout from him, and they all flipped their shorts inside out, which sucks if they lost a timeout, but they shouldn't have been playing.
Yeah. I would not,
Hopefully
rely
that-
on captains to check.
Hopefully that's not something we
Never.
catch in the second half. Like when you count flag belts for the very first time to make sure that they're starting their first play with flag belts, check pockets as well. Check
Exactly.
jewelry and everything.
Yeah.
I was wrong to just assume that they were going to take care of it.
Yeah.
So just learn from me that they may not. So
Yeah.
check.
And
That's
that's a veteran. Like
Yeah. That's like a typical captain's being like, hey, right now you guys know the rules, pockets, sure, we all gotta come off. Like, yeah. And then after that, I walk around the teams, I'm like, pockets,
Yeah.
pants need to come inside out. Flip your whole pants.
Oh, out here.
Yes. Or
Yes.
if you guys have ever
Yeah, you
ref
gotta
me, you
do
know
it.
I have no problem stripping down in the middle of the field. Like
Yeah.
just make them do it. No one cares.
No one cares.
The other thing is sometimes grad students or sometimes freshmen still will ask like, oh, I can just pull my pockets out. No, they
Yeah.
can't. They actually have to get flipped.
And you
all the
can't
way.
tape over them either.
I have seen grad students and undergrad students literally just put duct tape over their pockets. That's not how it works. Make them flip it out.
What's the penalty if you warn them and they still wear illegal equipment? What's the penalty? What's the signal? I'd be so impressed if somebody knows this. JC? No. When in doubt, roll it out. So Tim's half right. When in doubt, roll it out. What's the actual signal? Cyrus?
Well, no, I'm stretching God.
That was right.
I knew he was stretching. I knew he was stretching.
This is it. One hit
I
by
saw him
the
go like this.
He
I'm
slept
like,
through that
no
portion.
way.
He slept through
No
that portion.
way.
Any kind of caffeine.
No.
You should start.
All right, one hit behind the head, just like this. 5 yards, previous spot. The defense, if it's the defense and the offense scores, obviously the offense has a chance to decline the penalty. But previous spot, 5 yards.
If they continue to do it and they're blatantly ignoring you, unsportsmanlike
Wouldn't
conduct.
that be a candy?
Would it be on the people who are doing it? If it's multiple, is there multiple unsportsmanlike conduct?
You just throw the one, say it's on the team. If they get 3 team unsportsmanlike conducts, they forfeit. So that's their incentive to not do that.
Yeah, and Greg's gonna be pissed with them, so.
Yeah. And then, so, I haven't seen any metal cleats this season, but still be checking for metal cleats.
Like, you guys should know what's acceptable, just enforce it. Because basically the way Greg got mad at us is we have a photographer taking pictures, and he's looking through the pictures and saw a bunch of people wearing bracelets and stuff. So we all got in trouble for not enforcing that. But it should start with you guys. We should not be the ones watching for that. It
Yeah.
should be you.
So in other words, it's all your fault that we got in trouble. Basically.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Tim?
You guys are our first line of defense, is what he is trying to say, but it's
Timothy.
also our fault.
I'm just waiting for JC to finish. So if a player continually,
Okay.
if we keep telling them to fix their flag so that there's one on each side and one in the back,
Yeah.
and they just refuse to, can we hit them with an illegal equipment?
Not if it's Sean Lawlin.
So yes.
So this is interesting too. We have some flags you guys may notice. They're not very good, and the flags will like shift all to one spot. And you can say, hey, make sure you have one on each hip and one on the tailbone. And you can like kind of slow down the pace and let them do it. Let them change it. But what I do is I'm working field or something or somewhere that I kind of have a chance. I would go run off to the sideline, get one of the nicer flag belts where the flags are stitched to the belt and they don't slide around, and go over to them and have them switch belts and then run the other one off. So that way we can be more of like a service oriented, and they're not going to be as mad. But that way we're still making sure they have one on each hip and one on the tailbone.
Well, I'm just thinking because Sean literally could not understand how to put his flags on correctly.
That's Sean.
So he either had like one front, side, and back, or front and 2 sides.
That's when you go to the captain and you're like, hey, make him change it with the timeout, or I'm going to peg you 5 yards until he does.
Yeah.
And if he won't, then I'm going to call him sportsmanlike on your team.
Perfect.
Okay.
Captain's meeting. All right. This I think we do a better job at, myself included. This is our best tool for preventing for future problems. One, we get to meet the players. They get to meet us. So we're not just the jerk officials who enforce everything. Be polite, be friendly, and smile. Like, we're humans. We're having fun officiating a game. We're not the bad guys always. So don't assume the role. Okay? Like, be a normal human, and they'll like you. Okay? Maybe not, but.
That's on you.
We're not here to control them. We're here to make sure the game is played fairly. That's our job. We're there for them to make sure that their game is played fairly. It's not our game. We're not telling them what to do, although sometimes we need to. But that's not our job. Our job is to make sure the game is played fairly. Let them ask questions. I forgot this bullet point, but like, be respectful. Even if they're being like sassy and disrespectful to you, it's not our job to talk back. Okay? Our job is to take it, and once it reaches a level where we need to hit them with an unsportsmanlike, we do so.
Yeah.
But our job is always to diffuse conflict, not instigate it. So if Trek yells at me and I yell back, that is instigated conflict. If Trek yells at me and I say, play's over, that's enough.
Yeah.
Okay? If he continues to go up, I continue to go down. If he continues to go up, I throw a flag. Okay.
So Matthew yells back at me. Now I have grounds to complain to someone that the officials were treating me unfairly, and then that's just not good. Like,
I think if they don't know the rules, don't be condescending. Like, be polite, explain it to them. Okay, even if they're being jerks, be polite, take time, and explain it to them. They're gonna appreciate that you took the time to help them out, and even if they don't, we've diffused the conflict. That's what we want to do. The lower the conflict is, the better the game is. The higher intensity the game gets, the lower we get. Okay, officials balance the emotion of the game. Inform them of ways to prevent fouls that will frustrate them, and let them know that we're here for them. So if they have any questions, encourage them to be asked. You can say, I answer questions, not statements. So if you yell at me, probably not going to respond. If you ask me a question, sure, we can talk.
Yeah.
It's very simple. And even if they, like, did you not see that pass interference?
Sorry, sir, I'll watch for it the next time.
Why didn't you watch for it last time?
Would have been nice if you watched for it last time.
And that's exactly how Chuck would deal with it. But Matthew can't complain about anything that the ref did there.
Yeah, no, like, what am I gonna go complain about?
He bumped his
He
head.
smiled and waited.
That was an act of retaliation.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know how like that sounds so ridiculous to go complain about. Like
Yeah. So like when I play, I either ask you, like, what did you see on that call, or I ask, can you watch or something? Because that's I think what probably the hardest question to answer is why did you throw that penalty? Because if they're just gonna yell at you, you don't have. I mean, they're just gonna yell, they're just mad. But if they ask you like, why was that a pass interference, and then you don't have an answer, then you're in trouble because then it seems like you don't know what happened. And it's easy to just give just a definition, like you made contact before the ball got there, or things like that, and then they can't. That's the best.
So ask me to watch for a foul.
Hey man, he's using his hands. Can you watch for that next time?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's not unfair. That's a service aspect. Like, I'm supposed to watch for that anyway. It doesn't change what I'm doing, but it makes me feel like I am. Okay, or if you say, hey, this guy's dirty after the play, watch him, then okay, I'll watch that.
Yeah. I think I definitely ask people like in this room, like, hey, you gotta watch, like he's like pushing me on the line, or he's like sticking his leg out or something. Like, can you just watch it?
that communication, like that interaction goes as high as the NFL. Like NFL players and NFL officials talk that same way. Like players ask them to watch for things. Like it's very universal. It goes a long way.
Cool. Any questions on that?
We're almost done. I promise.
So,
As always,
confidence. Know your roles and responsibilities. You know, like we just talked about, be comfortable in your role as the official in terms of not instigating conflict, lowering the intensity for the games. But the confidence also comes from knowing the rules and knowing your job on the field. And that'll just give you, obviously, a lot more confidence when you're out there so you don't second guess yourself.
I think this is a big one. A lot of times we'll get grilled by players consistently, and they're not doing anything that we can flag them for. It's just a tough game. It's just a tough team. They're constantly on you, but it's nothing over the line that you can end. Sometimes you just have a tough team that's always on you, and it's just not easy. Get past that. Have confidence that just because they say I'm wrong, doesn't mean I am wrong. Just because they say something's happening this way, doesn't mean that it did. Okay? I am watching the game. I have confidence. My eyes are where they're supposed to be, and I've been calling the right things. And just be consistent and have confidence in that. Okay? You're going to get yelled at, and it may not be unsportsmanlike, and you can't always just avoid being yelled at. Sometimes it happens. But don't let that be like, oh, I'm just having a bad game. I'm not going to call anything anymore. Because then we're done.
Yeah.
And I promise, like, as a life skill, this sense of freshman has multiplied in me like tenfold. Like, it's hard at first when you're young, you're reffing older people, and they're yelling at you, to have confidence in yourself despite that. But if you keep working at that, that's gonna, like...
Guys, Matthew doesn't even flinch when I make fun of him anymore. The reffing has destroyed him for me.
See what I mean? Life skills, guys.
And then
That was way funnier than you guys reacted to.
Yeah.
more often than not, if you're getting a hard time from the players, like 9 times out of 10 after the game they'll come to you and be like, hey, I didn't mean anything like that. Like it's just a close game. Like, and then you just be like, yeah, we're good. Understand it's a game and they're competing and it's a high intensity. They want to win, but they don't mean anything by it.
99% of the time, it's not personal. Just keep that in mind when you get yelled at. Like they have nothing against you. It's just like
Just you.
They
It's just the
don't like
official. It's
the
role that
officials.
They don't like. Yeah.
They're kind of, like, you're faceless to them almost.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I guarantee you, like if I got yelled at 10 times last year, I guarantee you none of those people remember what I look like,
Yeah.
Except for the guy that.
except for that one guy. But he hugged me the next week, so we're good. Like they came up and apologized. Like they know they're wrong.
Yeah. Like I give an example. Like basketball. I gave Donovan. If you know Donovan, he works for us. I gave him a technical foul. He stays half an hour after the game to talk to our boss about why I was out to get him. And you know,
Donovan tried to get Trek fired.
like
And now Donovan works for
he's out to
us.
get me. Like I'm reffing the game still, and I see Donovan talking for like half an hour And I'm like, what is he talking about? Like, but
Craig, you're
like,
getting
At the end of the
fired.
day, like,
yeah, he works for us
They're
for
fine,
chill.
like-
Like,
they're fine. Donovan has no problems with Trek. Trek has no problems with Donovan.
yeah, it's just funny.
Not since the fight.
Yeah, not since that one run.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about that.
All right. Oh wait, I want to talk about stuff before we get to.
All right,
Okay,
so
wait.
yeah.
So let's talk about sportsmanship ratings for the playoffs. So we have like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But one thing you might not know is if the team gets a 3 or lower than a 3 in that game, they can't move on to their next game. So my team wins, but we get a 2, the losing team technically can go on and play because we're disqualified. So with that being said, we really need to be cognizant of why we're saying 2s in the meetings instead of 3s, or when we what they're doing. If it's getting to the point where it's going to be a 2, there's a good chance as soups we're going to step in and say something to the teams before it gets that point. Yeah. I think
So that'd be like something that you'd want to address in the captain's meetings, kind of like prevent any situations from coming up, or is that something we just like keep to ourselves?
Yeah, I think you mentioned that, right? Greg said we can mention that. We should mention that in the
What?
captain's meeting, right?
What?
That if they get a 2 below, they're not going to.
Tell them, like,
So communicate
They're
to
not
them.
gonna understand the exact, like, what.
Tell them that if their sportsmanship is awful, there's a possibility that they will
Okay.
not advance in playoffs.
Okay.
That's as vague as we need to be and as specific as we
That's a captain's meeting thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Dane, do you have a question or other questions?
Wait, so sportsmanships have precedent over scores.
Yes. Because just like in the regular season, if they did an average of 3, they're not moving on to the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah, so if they're So the policy extends to the playoffs, that if they get a 3 or 2 or lower, that they don't move on.
Okay, so is it still then like if you get unsportsmanlike conduct, your cap is 3?
So
Because that's
with that, you should not, I would say not necessarily, because let's say we score a touchdown and I
spike
spike the ball or I do a cartwheel or something and you call it UC, that's not as bad of a UC as if I go, Nate, you suck at reffing, you should go home. Like, there's a clear difference of the
Pull me
level
back,
of
Trek.
unsportsmanlike. Yeah. Or like, I score a touchdown and my team has a planned choreography of our celebration. Like,
Which might happen.
It will happen.
yeah.
First round playoff.
It's just, you gotta gauge what kind of unsportsmanlike it is. And you should also gauge the level of play in the game. So, if it's our team versus or say it's our core team versus some freshman core team that like, they know they're not gonna win, and they're just kind of like messing around and having fun. Like, we don't need to be as strict, I would say, or when you're calling UCs like, or when you're giving sportsmanship ratings, like know like what kind of game it was.
Whereas if you have like Phi Delta 1 versus like some senior team that is all tall, athletic guys, like that game's obviously going to be more strict. Like you can look at the teams before the game and know the intensity of the game before it even happens.
Also understand if they're yelling at each other, or the other team, or the refs. Because if they're yelling at each other,
Yeah.
well, let them yell at each other. Like, I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
Maybe watch, like if someone's yelling the F word out there, like maybe ask them to watch their language. There's other people on the field, but like,
Yeah. If they're yelling, so know who they're talking to. So if they swear at themselves or at their own teammates because they dropped a pass or did X, Y, and Z, we can let them know like, hey, we can't have that kind of language out here. But if they say they F you, that's a flag.
Easy.
Yeah.
Track happy.
Keep it
Hmm?
consistent.
Yeah.
What do you
you're the entire reason we started this tonight.
I'll tell you after.
I was just like, I was right there, and you guys were, he was
That's,
screaming.
okay, this leads me
You
to
didn't
something
have
else.
to, yeah,
This is a great example. Jason we had a co-rec game, and then we had a men's game right after. Jason was being you guys all know Jason Brown. Jason Brown was being really loud and really annoying during our co-rec game.
Oh, yeah.
He was reffing both those games, or he was reffing both those games, and during our co-rec game, he asked Jason to be quiet on the sideline. Jason obliged, and then in our men's game, Jason was very loud again. Try your best not to carry over things from previous games into new games. There's different intensity levels.
He's gonna defend himself.
I'm just
gonna say, but he did say, I'm not gonna say a word this game. On the second game, I was
And it's your judgment, so I'm not going to say he's right or wrong, but
he was wrong.
Don't carry things over. Like, I'm not gonna come into a new week and be like, oh, this guy wronged me last week. You see, first thing he says to me.
Yeah.
Like, use your judgment.
Yeah. And don't be out to get them. So don't what we call have rabbit ears. So don't be listening while they're like muttering under their breath about something, and you're like, I heard that from across the field. And you're like, yeah. And just understand that we're in a higher intensity games now, and the stakes are higher, and everyone wants to win. So it will be a little bit more intense as a game.
Guys, I want my shirt. Alright? We're gonna move on to some case plays. These case plays are a bit longer. Take your time and digest them. And then we're going to move over to the Kahoot when we get to the answers. So we'll go back and forth between the PowerPoint slide and the Kahoot.
Alright.
So you guys can get your phones out.
You wanna say it? Just read it.
2nd and 7. Okay, oh, just quick definitions. A, always the offense. So the A 34-yard line is the 34-yard line that's on the offensive side of the 40.
They still have 46 yards to get to
So they're trying to go to the B's end zone. So if they go forward, it's going to go 834, 835, 838, well, 6, 7, 8, 40, then B 39, 38, 37. Okay?
Typically anything like A7 through A1 and B7 through B1 unless explicitly said are going to be players.
Yep, so player, same player. B2 is the same player as B2. A1 is obviously a player. Okay, so 2nd and 7. Well, it would never be 2nd and 7. Sorry, that was stupid. 2nd and 6.
Second down from
2nd and 6 from the A34. This should be 6 because we're trying to get to the 40, obviously. My bad.
here's the second down.
A1's pass is intercepted by B2 at the B35. B2 is illegally contacted immediately after the catch. Soon after, the back judge blows an inadvertent whistle. B2 continues and is deflagged at the A12. Time expired during the half. Now, all these case plays are plays that happened this year.
It's me and you, Tim.
Oh God, I
Yeah.
hated this.
And these case plays are things that will happen during the playoffs, so we gotta know we get it right.
Except that I know.
So let's read over it, and then we'll switch over to the Kahoot and let us know when you're done reading. He's gonna just pull it up.
Give you guys about 15 more seconds and then we'll go back to the
Once
Kahoot.
the Kahoots will pull up, they should have the options on their phone.
Okay.
And I give it 60 seconds.
Alright, do you guys all have your phone up with Kahoot? Is anyone not ready?
Oh, yeah, my Kahoot, like it just logged me out.
That's
Well,
fine.
it doesn't matter.
That's okay, Tim, you don't matter.
Is it not so good she was gonna win?
Alright, so you have 60 seconds. Here are your options.
Oh, so it'll stay. That's what you're saying.
Can you read the options on your phone?
Nope.
Nope.
Oh.
Go back.
You got squiggly
You have 60 seconds, you have plenty of time.
Who already answered?
Close.
You know, you're eligible challenger.
Shut up, Trey.
Oh, this is good.
Get out of here! Oh my god!
Just leave it there.
Wait,
I can totally
where
read
was the
that.
IW called? Where was the IW from?
At the B, as soon as he got it.
No, but it says IW, then B2 continues after IW.
Okay, at the B35.
Yeah, so they just continue. They don't stop at that.
Oh, no, I don't. Only 7 answers, you got 3 seconds. 1. Ah, shit.
Alright. So this is what happened. So that's exactly what happened with me and Tim. We had an interception, illegal contact, and an inadvertent whistle. So first things first, inadvertent whistle, what are we doing? What are the team's options?
Take
Guys.
it or replay it.
Yeah, so that's one, so they can replay the down, or
They can take the result.
they can take the result of the play. So the B is gonna wanna take the result of the play because they got illegal contacted.
Well, they got the ball, first of all.
And they got the ball because they intercepted. So what are we doing with the illegal contact?
10 yards from the end of the run, which is where the inverted whistle occurred.
Right. Does that make sense to everybody?
And why do we have an untimed down?
Because you can't end the half on a penalty.
You cannot end a half on an accepted
on an
penalty.
accepted penalty, and you're out of time.
Can you end the half on an inadvertent whistle?
No, that's a penalty.
Basically enforce like penalty, right, so no, you can't.
Yeah.
That's the correct answer. Okay,
Any
so most
questions on
people
this?
got that right, that's good. Well, more than half, I guess. Okay, make sure everybody answers, so I don't know there's 7 people.
I got logged out.
Oh, did you guys get logged out?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, you guys, no, you guys pause it.
Oh, I know.
Oh, that's all right, let him go, just let it go. So, A scored a touchdown and is trying for 2. Immediately after the snap, B3 bull rushes A2. A1 completes a pass to A4, who flag guards, then is deflagged at the B3 yard line.
Yeah.
also actually happened.
Guys, these are complicated, but we'll get it.
Matthew, this is your play.
That was roughing or playing in?
You were white-hatting and
You were
Derek was
roughing.
on your
Oh,
line.
okay, okay.
You guys have 25 seconds.
Yeah. This is at the end of the first half.
I was in the backfield. Yeah.
Alright, let's go back to the,
Okay, just out of curiosity, who put, did anyone willing to speak up on why they put the
wrong one.
Okay.
the what?
Hit the wrong button. Does anybody think that the red one is right? Yeah, okay.
I mean, we got the flag, got the B3, so it would be no good at that point, but like,
So my question to you would be, how do we know it was going to be no good if there was a foul on the defense? Did the defense gain an advantage?
yeah, but he also gained an advantage with the flag, or the flag guarding.
Right, so basically we have 2 live ball penalties, the play's already messed up. If you have 2 live ball penalties, if you have a live ball penalty on both teams, live ball, okay, not on sportsmanlike, live ball. We have, doesn't matter how many we have on the defense, doesn't matter how many we have on the offense. As long as we have at least one of each, could be 3 and 1, could be 4 and 2, we're gonna offset the penalties and replay the down. In this case, it's the try.
The logic there is, what if I only flag guarded because my offensive lineman was illegally contacted and the dude was able to get to me? Because I can see where you're coming from. You're like, he wouldn't have gotten there anyway because he flag guarded. But what if I only flag guarded because I had, like, this dude would not have gotten to me under normal circumstances, so I wouldn't have had to flag guard.
Yeah, Tim.
So I feel like the wording of this question makes it seem like there was no advantage given. by
So the bull
flag
rush
guarding.
is-
It doesn't matter.
It was pulled right away. So,
He's talking about the flag guard.
Oh, the flag
the
guarding?
flag guarding,
Well, because he flag guarded, he guarded his flag, so it's illegal. But,
you guys told me on multiple occasions that there's no advantage, there's no penalty.
right,
So
but
it's.
that's just hard because it's just a question.
Alright,
If
so
it
once
happened-
the flag is thrown.
Use your best judgment to see if you gained an advantage in the game.
Alright.
For devil's advocate's sake, he did.
Okay, go
Or he
to
did.
the next one first.
Can we get more people in, is that possible?
No.
Does anybody remember the code?
4253115.
It's in the top left.
41553.
It's completely wrong.
Oh, that was wrong?
Yes, you were so, you think you were so
41532.
Read the question.
Alright.
You guys want to get out of here.
Hey, guys.
From the 15-yard line. A7
So A7 completes a pass to A3, who is deflagged at the A23 yard line. A hustles up to the line and snaps the ball before the ready for play whistle has been blown. So essentially, they got a first down, and then they hustled up to the line and had to delay a game.
This will happen, I promise. I will make it happen. That's what I'm so proud of you guys.
No way! How do you guys all get that?
Because I yell at them every
I
time.
feel like we all
they
talking about
Oh shoot, I didn't give him the other wrong option.
which would have been,
Delay a game if I read from the first down before.
yeah. So,
That's real.
so for this one, the line,
Wait, just
happens to
ask
be
him if
so
they know.
much.
oh, do you know why?
Why,
Harvey?
why is the line to gain the 20, not the 40?
The play, radio play whistle wasn't blown in when the first down to gain was the 40, so it's like basically, well, I don't know how to explain it other than that, it's like the whistle wasn't blown where it says that the first down is 40. So
Oh, that's, yeah,
That's a good way
Do
of
you say
putting it.
that?
Well, I mean, just the more technical answer is the zone line to gain is not set until the ready for play is blown.
Everyone hear that? Say that louder.
The zone line to gain is not set until the ready for play has been blown.
Right. So we have a delay of game before the ready for play's been blown, which means after the penalty, our new zone line to gain is now the 20 because we just moved behind it. If the whistle had been blown and we had a false start, then the zone line to gain is still a 40 because at the time of the whistle, the zone line to gain was a 40.
Yeah. So when this happens, and now you know the rule, what are you gonna tell the defense?
The offense paid you more.
So, because they have the chance, they can decline the penalty, it's not, they don't have to automatically take it. So if this happens, I'm going up to the defense and saying, so we had delay game, it's either first down to the goal, or to the 20 from here if you decline it, or it's gonna be first down to the 40 if you accept it. So now they know, and if the defense is smart, they'll decline the penalty. Does that make sense? So, another example, so we had that unsportsmanlike on BG yesterday before the ready for play, and we called it.
So we're down on like we're going in, so we're past the last first down, we're on like the A18 going, or the B18 going towards the end zone.
And as Kevin is saying the pucks, he blows the unsportsmanlike on BJ. So it's exactly the same concept. So what we should have had was first down to the 40 instead of, I think we said replay the down to
We
the 40.
redid third down.
Huh?
We redid third down from
Yeah.
like 8 yards behind the
Yeah.
first down.
Yeah, so it's not the biggest issue, but do you guys understand why that would have been first down now? The guys who,
So they like earned the first down, that's why it's first down?
no, so I'm talking about that specific play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like you guys earned the first down and then I called it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
And
No,
we don't,
no, that's
there,
not
we
right.
have,
Yeah, it is.
The zone line to gain for the new series has not blown until they're ready for play. We started the series.
No, it
So
isn't.
it's,
So
you
you
said
can't,
it's third down?
No, so what
We'll
happens,
talk about this later, sorry.
think of it with delay of game, not,
Yeah, and this, you guys all got it right, so we don't need to explain
alright,
it.
go next.
You saw it.
Alright,
3
guys.
seconds left in the game. This is second to last one, so hang in there. 3 seconds left in the game. A is losing by 3. A7 drops back to pass, time expires. Completes the pass to A2 in the end zone. So time is gone. A2 then spikes the ball and excessively taunts B9.